This section is called The Funeral, and I'll read just a little bit of it. I heard my parents in a tense discussion in the next room. My father was asking my mother to attend a funeral with him. No, I don't want to go. Knowing my mother's habits, I figured she crossed her arms over her chest. He was my favorite uncle. I heard the pain and sorrow in my father's voice. I don't want to go to the funeral. Can't you go by yourself? She whined. I stepped around the corner into the room where my parents stood. My mother did indeed have her arms crossed and had a determined look on her face. She didn't look like she was going to change her mind. My father looked like he was shrinking into himself. I'd never seen him look like this before. I'll go, I volunteered. My mother's frown deepened. She shook her head. Absolutely not. A funeral is no place for a child. I pushed. I can handle it. You've never been to a funeral. You never even met the man. No, you don't know what you're asking. I looked over to my father and caught a small flicker of hope in his eyes. He said to me, let your mother and I talk. We'll let you know later. I went to my room. What seemed like forever, I finally heard my mother call me to the living room. If you are going to go, there will be some rules. Afraid to talk, I nodded. She continued, you are to stay seated where your father decides. You are not to move or get up until your father says so. And you're to behave. Understood? My head bobbed up and down. I understand. I don't remember the drive or approaching the building. I do remember a cavernous cement floor basement with unadorned, unfinished cement block walls. Folding chairs were neatly placed in rows. Across the room from where we stood was a polished wood casket with a small portable podium a few feet left of the casket. My father had us sit near the back. He explained what to expect, such as the minister talking about his uncle, friends and family sharing their memories, and the viewing. When it's time for the viewing, everyone will stand up and go to the front. You are to stay seated no matter what. Any questions? Yes. What's a viewing? It's when we go up to the casket and say our goodbyes, but you're to sit tight right here. Got it? Got it. I zoned out during the whole process until everyone, except my father, suddenly stood up, moved over to the far right wall, and lined up facing front. I watched as one person at a time approached and stood in front of the casket. I'd sometimes heard murmuring, or a sob or two. As the line shortened, my father leaned toward me and whispered, I'm going to get in line. You stay right here. I promised your mom that you would not get up, okay? I nodded. He stood and joined the queue. I continued to watch people go up to the casket, and soon it was my father's turn. He came back and sat next to me, and in a soft voice he asked, Do you have any questions? Yes. Who's the man standing by the casket, and why didn't anyone say anything to him? What man? The one standing to the right of the casket. Everyone walked right past him and then stood in front of the casket. Why didn't anyone talk to him? Why didn't he stand in front of the casket? His brow furrowed. Describe him to me. I didn't understand why he frowned at me. I watched him closely while I described the man. My father's eyebrows rose. His face, already drawn from the funeral, paled. His eyes darted to where the man stood and then back to me. Do you still see him? He's standing right there. I pointed to where I saw him. I figured my father didn't see him then because people were up milling around, so they probably blocked his view. As he scrubbed his face, I felt a sense of uncertainty from him. You described the man we came to say goodbye to, Jan. You described my uncle. Do you still see him? I had to wait for a gap to appear between the moving people. When I had a clear view, I shook my head. No, he's gone. Confused, I looked all around the room, but I didn't see him. The man would have had to walk past us to leave, and I never saw him leave. I looked back at my father. He felt calm and peaceful. A twinkle, which had been barely noticeable since the news of his uncle's death, had brightened in his eyes. Not as bright as they normally were, but it was there. He reached out and patted my knee. Thank you. Now, We'll never talk about this again, okay? I wasn't sure what was going on, but nodded anyway. Good. You did very well today. Let's head home. There were quite a few times I'd shared something with my father. He always listened with his full attention on me, and nothing I ever said seemed to shock him like it had my mother. His responses gently guided me on whether to share with others what I had told him. He would either say something like, "That was interesting," or he'd pat me on the knee and say, "We'll never discuss this again." There you go. Thanks for listening. Available on Amazon.